Last year, I made a little over $15,000 from selling digital products, and I'm on track to do that again this year. Digital products can be really life-changing. They can be super valuable for you and your customers. And so today, I want to talk a little bit about how you can get started. And a big thank you to .store Domains for sponsoring this video. First things first, we have to acknowledge the elephant in the room, marketing. You can design the best product in the world, but no one's going to know about it and no one's going to care if they don't know that it exists. But I'm gonna be honest here, you don't need to have hundreds of thousands of followers on social media to have some level of success selling digital products. I personally got started when I had under 10K here on YouTube, and I'm really glad that I had that just development early on. I'm glad that I made those products early because as I've grown, as I've succeeded, as my audience has kind of trickled in, I'm still able to sell those products. They're still evergreen, they're still valuable. I've updated them a little bit over time, but they've grown along with my business. And that's, I think, the really nice thing about digital products, that once you put in that initial effort, they can just kind of take off whenever. But speaking of products, let's talk about how to design something people will actually want to buy. I'm gonna level with you here. The key thing to understand when you're designing a product, you're making a video or marketing or whatever, is to understand value. Your product, it has to have value for someone. It has to solve a problem. It has to do something. The way that you provide value can vary, right? It doesn't have to be strictly educational. You can provide value with entertainment, with customization, with helping people actualize their preferences. But education is, I think, maybe the most intuitive thing to think about when we're thinking about value, so I'm going to stick with that for a minute. Some product ideas of things that actually provide value are things like tutorials, guides, instructional things like ebooks, maybe like video tutorials, online courses, etc. Something that will actually teach someone something. This can be as simple as like an ebook for how to get started with watercolor as a beginner, or it can cover a very specific technique that you do in your own art that's unique to you, that only you have the information, the access to, because you've made it yours. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be like super life-changing, but it has to have some kind of value proposition. It has to have a problem that it is solving for someone. So when you're designing your product, I want you to think about the following questions. Number one, who is this product for? What audience are you actually trying to meet here? This might be kind of a confusing question to answer, at least at first, but I think it's really crucial to know who you're making this product for. How you market that product will vary significantly depending on whether you are trying to build this product for seniors, people who are a little bit older, or younger people. The language that you use, the fonts that you use, like just the way that you design the entire look and feel of that product will vary a lot depending on the market that you're trying to appeal to here. The second thing to think about is, what problem does this product actually solve? So this really ties back into the value proposition that I wanted you to figure out earlier. You need to figure out what problems you're trying to solve here. And notice that I said problems there, right? It doesn't have to be just one problem that you're trying to solve. It can be multiple, but you should have a clear idea of the knowledge, the point, the purpose, the takeaway that you want someone to get out of using your product. And the third question, what will set your product apart from everyone else selling this same kind of thing? If you don't know the answer to number three, that's fine. Don't freak out. Don't like quit and like click off this video and abandon everything right now, okay? Just take some time. Take some time. Investigate the market. Figure out who else is making the stuff that you want to make. What features does it have? Who are they trying to market to? What is the vibe? What's the aesthetic of the thing that they have made? And how does that differ from your concept? Or how can you refine or change your concept to cater to a different market? So let me tell you a story about my own experience developing digital products. So when I was developing my art YouTuber workbook, I was thinking really hard about what the market overall looked like for like YouTuber resources. And when I was checking out this market, when I was trying to figure out who else had made stuff and what that stuff looked like and who it was for, etc., just trying to answer question number three, I was kind of learning that basically no one had made a really high quality resource for artists looking to grow on YouTube, like specifically artists. And I think that we face some kind of unique problems on social media because like there's the art and then there's the content and then there's the content about the art. And sometimes you get into lots of traps there that are really hard to get out of that I've gotten myself into multiple times. And when I was looking at the kind of broader market here for YouTube workbooks and informational guides in general, I wasn't like super impressed with the stuff out there. I was pretty disappointed actually in the quality. And so I decided to make the most comprehensive thing that I possibly could at the time. And I've updated that twice now with more information. And I think that that market research really helped me create the best product that I possibly could. But before we get into actually creating your product, you're gonna need to figure out where you wanna sell it. Whether you choose to design your online shop on a place like WordPress, Squarespace, or Wix, you're going to need a domain name. And that's where the sponsor of this week's video comes in, Store Domains. Having your online store end in .store instead of .com instantly sets you apart and instantly makes your audience associate your site with selling online. .store domains were proven to perform significantly better than .com domains, getting you twice as many impressions and 1.7 times as many clicks, ultimately resulting in more sales. Creators like Rihanna and MrBeast, as well as brands like Discord, have all switched to .store domains because they just do better. I'm in the process of switching mine over right now. Using .store domains also helps you save more as an entrepreneur, giving you $2,500 worth of discounts at places like MailChimp, Wix, and ShipStation. And if you use my code KelseyStore at get.store, you can get your domain name for only 99 cents. Domain names can cost tens to hundreds of dollars every year, so this level of savings is really nothing to scoff at. Get on this. What are you waiting for? Let's talk about actually creating your product. I think that you should aim to create the best product that you possibly can, or even the best product in the category of thing that you're making. I think you should be aiming for the moon here. I think that you should hold yourself to a relatively high standard. But, massive disclaimer, I think that you can't go into the creation process with that in mind. You can't aim to make the best possible product at first, or else you'll never get started. You'll be crippled with that just like imposter syndrome and that need to make everything perfect that you will never make a decision. You will never get started. So I think that you should aim to create a minimum viable product at first. Aim to create just the absolute bare bones of the thing that you're trying to make. When I was designing my Art YouTuber workbook, I was designing it for whatever reason in Adobe XD. I don't know why I did this. I shouldn't have, but anyway, I did. And when I was outlining this workbook, I basically made my pages in Adobe XD, and I created this very visual outline for myself. I figured out exactly what I wanted to talk about, and I kind of put all of the pages like roughly in their place. I didn't focus on design, I just like wrote some stuff down, and I kind of played around with it for a little bit. But I created just the absolute skeleton of this product, like really the bare bones, I'm not kidding. This was not like a high effort format here. I was vomiting on the page basically. But once I created that minimum viable product, I could then gradually add in layers of complexity. I could refine that first draft. And once I had a first draft that I was at least somewhat okay with, like I thought that it was fine-ish, I got some feedback. And I think feedback is incredibly important. Sometimes, in the case of instructional or educational content like ebooks, workbooks, courses, whatever, you're gonna need to make large structural changes to your content in order to make it as effective as possible for your students and your customers. When I was designing my workbook, I had just like a ton of sections that kind of all overlapped with each other or like didn't have like a clear sequential format. And getting that feedback early on in the design process helped me outline things and present them so much more effectively. I think it made everything a lot clearer. And the way that I got this feedback was really straightforward. I went on my Discord server and I was like, hey, I'm designing this thing. Does anyone want it for free in exchange for some feedback? And you'll help me design this thing and In return, you can have the thing when I'm done. Like, I will give you the full finished version along with like the drafts that you'll receive in the interim, and you'll just give me some thoughts. And people were really happy to do this, and I'm so glad that they were, because getting that feedback, it made a huge difference in the overall end result, the finished product of the thing. All right, now that you have some feedback, it's time to build out the final version. And we're not just talking about your product here. At this point, there are 3 things that you have to think about. Number 1 is your product photos. While it can be really tempting to just like put up screenshots of whatever you've built and be like, yeah, that works, please reconsider, okay? Please make really good product photos. Your product photo is the packaging for your product, okay? Like a YouTube video thumbnail. No one will ever click on the thing and realize how good your thing is if they don't have a good package, okay? If the thumbnail isn't like high quality enough. You need to make your product photos as compelling and clear as possible. For things like my workbook and my Notion templates, I use like this very simple iPad mockup that emphasizes how digital it is. It is a digital product, but also it shows it in action, right? It shows my template or my workbook actually being used in the genuine, like real format that they will be used in. And it's a much more compelling product photo than just a simple basic screenshot, in my opinion. And there are tons of mockups out there for a whole host of things. Websites like Creative Market are usually my go-to to find high quality mockups for just about anything I can think about. And I highly recommend that you spend some time brainstorming some really cute product photo ideas for your digital product, because you spent so much time creating it at this point that it's worth it to give it the attention it deserves, so your customers will actually follow through on purchasing it. The next thing that you want to think about is your product description. Make sure your prospective customers know who your product is for, what problem it'll solve, okay, and why it's different. Those questions that I asked you earlier, all of those answers should be in this product description, okay? It's really important that you include all of those things in there. It will make a difference, I pinky promise. I'll include some examples from my online store on the screen right now, but I overall think that it's a really good practice to have informative and clear descriptions for your product, just to really communicate clearly to your audience. And the third thing that I want you to think about is the delivery mechanism. For digital products, the thing that you're usually going to be doing here is uploading like a single zipped folder or a single file. I think folders are somewhat preferable here for a variety of reasons. You can have your product, or if there are multiple file versions, include all of those in one package. But for things like my Notion templates, it's a little bit different. Notion templates are just links. They're just links. There's no file to upload. So I include my instruction sheet and the link to the template all in one thing, just one simple file, and then I upload that to my personal website, which is Squarespace. And make sure you name these files as obviously as possible. They shouldn't be things like workbook draft 3 final for real final. It should be something like workbook and then readme for your instruction sheet. Once all of that's done, you're finished. Congrats. It's time to press publish and start marketing your first digital product. Selling digital products can be a complete game changer, but again, you're gonna have to figure out how to market it. And for that, I have a whole host of videos on how to start building an audience that you can check out somewhere on the screen right now, and I hope to see you there. Thank you again to Store Domains for sponsoring this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.